It's high stakes across the board in Glasgow. I'm Sam from Cultaholic, and I'm here to take a look at what happened at WWE Clash at the Castle 2024. Starting as we mean to go on tonight with AJ Styles versus Cody Rhodes in an I Quit match for the undisputed WWE Championship. We see Cody's brought his mam along to watch him compete as talent name, but the crowd is absolutely bringing it from the off here, firmly on Cody's side. Cody gets to jump straight away, but AJ blocks an early disaster kick attempt to slow things down and take charge. Cody sets up a table at ringside, the pair brawl through the crowd to Gorilla, where he makes creative use of some of the kit. Back in the ring eventually, Cody locks in a figure four to no avail. Back at ringside, AJ plants Cody onto the announce table before brain busting him onto it for a second time, but Cody refuses to quit. AJ then beats Cody with the mic before getting in his mam's face, and it's nice to see she's picked up a bit of the colourful local language. Cody then gets busted open with the ring bell as AJ begins to target the head, but Cody just won't quit. The momentum starts to shift in AJ's favour as Cody gets taken round the bases, and FU AJ chant is met with Cody reversing a Styles Clash attempt off the steps. Back in the ring, we get a disaster kick, but a blocked crossroads. Styles fetches a chair, Pillmanizes Cody's neck, and lays in some kendo stick shots, and even whips him with a belt, but he just won't quit. There's some awkwardness with the belt as well before an STF as Cody passes out. Now, the ref won't award the victory here for some reason as there's no verbal I quit, so AJ fetches water to wake him up. AJ then handcuffs Cody's arms behind his back and then begins brutally laying in those kendo stick shots. After another refusal, AJ targets Cody's mam, who slaps him. He goes to hit her with a chair, but takes it to Cody instead. AJ attempts to go for a forearm with the chain wrapped around his hand, but Cody launches a chair across the ring at him, sending Styles through the ringside table. Cody then frees himself from the cuffs, smashes AJ in the face, and AJ starts to bleed. We get a Cody cutter followed by the trio of crossroads with the last one onto a chair, and Cody cuffs AJ to the ropes and pastes him with the same chair. AJ almost quits after Cody attacks the knee, but thinks again, and then Cody grabs the ring steps, throws them in the ring, holds them aloft, and AJ cries, "I quit," cowering in the corner out of fear. Cody retains the title in Glasgow, and then just connects with the steps anyway after the bell for good measure, for some reason. As Cody celebrated at the top of the ramp, Solo Sikoa popped up behind the American Nightmare, which led to a sneak attack from Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa. The odds were evened by Randy Orton and Kevin Owens as they made the save and sent the bloodline running to the back, and then Cody celebrated at the top of the ramp properly to end the segment. Next up, we move on to the triple threat tag match for the women's tag titles. Alba, Fyre, and Isla versus Shayna, Baszler, and Zoey Stark versus Bianca, Belair, and Jade Cargill. So, rules here, 3 women in the ring at once. You can only tag your own partner, and with that bit of housekeeping out of the way, here we go. Isla gets sent to the floor sharpish as Bianca takes it to Shayna. Bianca then begins toying with Shayna a bit before Dawn re-emerges to break up a near fall. We get a full swap of all partners and Jade becomes enemy number 1. She manages to keep them at bay though before hitting both women with a huge fall-away slam, I believe in Joe Hendry. We get some double team spots from the champs, which causes the other 2 teams to break, have a quick natter, and work together. Jade is isolated and dealt with by everybody on the outside, but back in ring, they start on Belair before the partnership begins to break down. Shayna and Stark run a bit wild, but can't quite get it done. Fyre eventually gets into clean house and nail a huge diving cannonball to the floor. There's a massive Tower of Doom here, with Dawn clutching her elbow on the awkward landing. Belair then nails a superplex, but lands awkwardly as well, and we've got a triple down. Jade gets the hot tag and unfortunately trips on the ropes, but she nails a powerbomb. She does also momentarily tap to the Kirifuda as the ref's view is obstructed. Jade begins to fade out here, but Bianca lands a 450 knee off the top. Belair and Cargill then nail their double finish. They line up for the pin, but Isla Dawn re-emerges to steal the pin on Shayna, bringing home the gold in front of their hometown crowd. Next up, we move on to Chad Gable versus Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental Championship. Sami gets a hero's welcome here. They begin to chant Shorty G at Gable and We Want Otis as we reach an absolute stalemate between the men straight off the bat. Both are just able to counter everything thrown at them. There's an early ankle lock attempt, but Zayn is able to get clear. Gable regroups, Zayn ends up having a moment with Otis and Maxine on the outside to a huge response, and then the men back in ring continue to go hold for hold, with Gable getting a bit more purchase on a second ankle lock attempt. This is just a straight-up war of attrition at this point, with neither man giving an inch. Gable targets Sami's bad arm, and finally we're in gear, with Gable really targeting that arm from here on out. Things go back and forward with a diving headbutt coming in for a 2.5 for Gable, and then they start to trade Germans. Gable takes a scary suplex here with a high landing that spikes him, but thankfully he's straight back up. Hopefully he's alright. Gable locks in a crossface only to have it reversed into a crossface from Sami, but Gable manages to finally get the ankle lock on in the middle of the ring. Sami rolls through into a near fall though, and then Gable nods to Otis and fetches the IC title, giving it to Maxine. He chokes Sami over the rope, distracts the referee, but Maxine can't bring herself to hit Sami. Gable demands she get on the apron and then chews her out, which gives Sami the window for a haluva kick, only for Gable to duck at the last second and Maxine almost eating the kick, but Sami stops short. Then, Gable hits Chaos Theory for a 2.99999. Gable then gets out and into Maxine's face, only for Otis to step in between the two and square up to him. Sami then dives to the outside, hitting Otis. Gable then gets back in the ring, but ducks out again to miss another haluva kick. He then locks in an ankle lock over the barricade, but then Sami rolls through and knocks Gable forward into Maxine's bad leg. Otis once again gets in Gable's face, but in the ring with the referee distracted, he goes to hit Sami. Maxine calls out to him, however, and Otis picks her up and takes her to the back for medical attention. We then finally get a haluva kick for the 3, and Gable is not a happy bunny as he and Sami are now squits. Next, we move on to Piper Niven with Chelsea Green versus Bayley for the WWE Women's Championship. There's a touching tribute from Piper Niven toward friend, former ICW colleague, and dearly missed Scottish wrestling legend Adrian Lionheart McCallum with a black band around her knee with his name on it. As the match gets started, the crowd are firmly on Bayley's side here as Piper just brings the power. On the outside, Chelsea gets in a few cheap shots before being ejected by Lil Nate after laying hands on him. Piper keeps the pressure on though, nailing a big cannonball to Bayley off the apron, and then she begins to demolish Bayley back in ring. Bayley keeps fighting back, but the power divide is massive here. Even when she gets clear and free, Piper's able to quickly get her back under control. Bayley lands awkwardly on her tailbone from a suplex, but nails a DDT that sets the tide away turning. Some on-the-ropes offense gives Bayley the break she sorely needed, nailing the big elbow for a 2. Piper recovers quickly though, nailing a huge senton for a 2 on an unsuspecting Bayley. But Bayley nails a Bayley to belly off the top rope very shortly after that to really rock Niven. At this point, Bayley has a visual pin as Chelsea Green reemerges to distract Lil Nate with a mask on. Piper counters a rose plant into a Piper driver for a monumental near fall, the crowd hanging on every move now. And then a Piper bomb attempt is met with knees, but Piper maintains control on the outside. Another rose plant is reversed with a headbutt, but a crucifix driver out of nowhere puts Piper away for the 3. She may have lost, but what a showing here from Niven in front of her home crowd. Huge things to come from her in the near future for sure. And now it's time. Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest in Scotland for the World Heavyweight Championship. Judgment Day barred from ringside, but for how long? The Inverary and District Pipe Band emerged to kick off the main event proper, playing Scotland the Brave before Drew enters to an ear-shattering response, reaching 107 decibels on the live and loud meter. "Come on, you prick," he shouts as out comes Priesty to Drew chants drowning out his music. Both men then set to work, with Priest sent to the floor almost immediately, but that's where he gets his opening volleys in. Back in the ring though, Drew gets the first pin attempt. Both men go back and forth, with Drew almost getting a future shock, and then on the outside, Prime finally gets sent packing. But then Priest heads for a tope, and as he's leaping over the rope, catches his leg between the top and middle rope. This twists, suspending him in midair before he comes slamming down face first on the apron. His ankle is caught up in a very awkward angle, and it's just really uncomfortable. It goes on for a very long time. He hangs there in the ropes in horrific fashion for a while before Drew gets up and frees him, but that ankle was under a lot of pressure, and it seems to be at a very, very weird angle. Back in the ring though, and defying all of this, Priest mounts a comeback, but he's having to deal with the ankle getting worse as it goes on. He goes straight for South of Heaven, only to get blocked, and then Drew confidently nails a future shock to roll back over for the pin, only for Priest to kick out. Priest then begins limping noticeably as things go to the high rent district. Drew almost gets a white noise, but gets lobbed with a one-legged razor's edge from Priest to no avail. They fight back to their feet, trading straight fists, then kicks, and Priest really giving it his all here, but we end in a double down. Drew then Scotland's up, lining up for the Claymore, but Priest escapes. On the outside, McIntyre sends Priest through a timekeeper wall, and then a little bit later, a Claymore is intercepted into a South of Heaven for a 2.999. Things then head back up top, with Priest nailing Arana, only to finally get smashed with a Claymore for another 2.99999. Drew then takes firm control, with the ref having to dive to the outside to escape the corner, only as he's climbing back up to get yeeted into the barricade a second time immediately after. We then get another Claymore with Priest absolutely cooked and Drew getting like a visual pinfall up to like 12, but the ref is down. But don't worry, another official emerges, sprinting down to the ring to count 1, 2, and then nothing at all, only to reveal that he's not an official, it's CM Bloody Punk. Drew is understandably not a happy boy here. He backs Punk into a corner and maybe gets a little bit too distracted as Punk hoofs him right in the chap. This then turns into a South of Heaven as the ref is climbing back into the ring and Punk's got out of there. 1, 2, 3. Damian Priest retains in Glasgow, Scotland over Drew McIntyre. This is mental. Punk then celebrates with some ringside Punk fans as the air goes out of the room completely and Priest limps his way back up the ramp. Fingers crossed that Priest is alright. He was limping to the back on his way out, but I guess we'll find out more on Raw. It did look pretty serious, but yeah. But that is it for Clash at the Castle 2024 from Glasgow, Scotland. What did you think of the show? Let us know in the comments below.